This is the Act Like a Man podcast, taking manhood back with your host, best-selling author, pastor, and manhood coach, Dennis C.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Act Like a Man podcast. This is episode number 89, and today we'll be talking about how to overcome obstacles in life, how to overcome struggles, trials, problems in your life. So thank you so much for listening and subscribing to our channel. If you've not yet subscribed to Act Like a Man, please do like us and subscribe us, whether on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, and even in our YouTube channel, Act Like a Man Philippines. So for the past few days, I've been reading a book called Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. He's the same author who wrote Ego is the Enemy. And I'm on his book, Obstacle is the Way, and it's not his first book, but I'm now reading I think this is his second or third book already, but this has helped me a lot. And as I was reading through it, I realized he was a Stoic philosopher. No, he loves Stoic philosophy. So I kind of was looking at it, but I'm trying to look at it with the lens and trying to put a biblical lens on some of the principles that he's been teaching. In short, sabi nga nilano, every time you read a book, don't just swallow everything. Right? Make sure to question, ask, be an inquisitor, an inquirer of what they're writing about, and contextualize it to the world of view that you embrace. And as you all know, I'm a Christian, I'm a pastor, and so I try to look at things with a biblical lens and a biblical worldview. As much as I love this book, there are some things that I want to add on to what he's trying to say, so that it would not all just be like human will or the inner will that would make us survive or overcome problems in life, because I've tried it that way before. My faith in Christ plays a big factor in how I overcome problems and obstacles, and I want to be upfront with that. I don't want to be your motivational speaker or somebody who's speaking here in a podcast saying you can do it, without telling the main reason why I'm able to overcome problems. And I think that is what would differentiate Act Like a Man to some other of the podcasts, because I'm coming now also with a faith perspective. My faith in Christ plays a big role in how I am going to overcome the obstacles and problems that come in my way. So the obstacle is the way is mainly influenced by Marcus Aurelius. And this guy was a Roman philosopher. He's also somebody who went into war. And he's quite famous. And Ryan Holiday uses his quotes to give some life lessons on how we can overcome obstacles in our life. One of his quotes, which started this book, is this quote that says, "Our actions may be impeded, but there can be no impeding our intentions or dispositions, because we can accommodate and adapt. The mind adopts and converts to its own purposes, and the obstacle to our acting. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." I love this quote because Marcus Aurelius was saying that when there are obstacles and problems, if we learn how to accommodate and adapt to the changing times, then the obstacle is the way. That's the path. Haharapin ko yung problema. I am going to face that obstacle. I'm going to face it head on, because the impediment to action advances action. For us to experience breakthrough, you have to go through a wall. What stands in your way becomes the way. Sad to say, a lot of people pray the obstacle away. We think that every obstacle is from the devil, but it's not. Some of the obstacle, or most of the obstacle that is in our way, is to make us stronger. And we have to embrace this kind of mindset if we want to face challenges in life. The obstacle, the path that has obstacles in it is the way for us to breakthrough. That's the path to your breakthrough. That's the path to your victory. So setbacks or problems are always expected and never permanent. Remember that. Wala pong problemang permanent. Making certain that what impedes us can empower us is a mindset that we need to embrace. Right? There's this song, diba? You make me stronger by breaking my heart. Problems or how we respond to it can either make us better or it can make us bitter. Will I let the obstacle block me from advancing through and over them? Or will I find a way to solve that problem and to overcome that obstacle? I love a book that I read. I forgot the title, but it was saying that's how we frame the problem is sometimes the problem. And I totally agree that most of the problems or obstacle in our way is not actually a problem. It's a way for us to be more resourceful. It's a way for us to be more dependent on God. It's a way for us to strengthen our character, our attitude, and improve on our skill sets. Right? Andy Grove, the CEO of Intel, said that bad companies are destroyed by crisis. Good companies survive them, but great companies are improved by them. Right? Change it to you. The bad people are destroyed by crisis. Good people survive them. Great people are improved by them. It's always looking at this problem and saying, how can I improve? How can I solve this that would impact the greater good? So, obstacle, according to Ryan Holiday, should become the fuel for the blaze. Yan yung mag-i-ignite sa'yo. That would be your reason for waking up every morning. I don't know if you agree with me, but I'm that kind of person that I look for problems because problems energize me. It frustrates me, yet it energizes me. It makes me think. It makes me use the leadership giftings that God has given me to solve problems. So every time there's an obstacle, your perspective should not be, this is not so bad. Maraming Pilipino, ganun po tingin nila sa problema. Hindi naman, okay na yan, okay lang yan. Ganun naman, hindi naman ganun ka pangit yung problema. But your perspective should be, how can I make this good? I can make this good. The problem the people are facing, yung system natin ngayon sa office or sa organization natin, it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that good. But the perspective should be not to defer or, or kind of say, I'm not doing anything about it because it's not that bad, but rather your perspective should be, how can I make this good? How can I improve my life and the lives of the people around me because I have a different perspective when it comes to problems and obstacles? One of the verse that I like is in Hebrews where it says, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy before him endured the cross, despised the shame, and is now seated at the right hand of the throne of God. Right? And I want you to look at that verse because that verse, there's an obstacle. What's the obstacle? The death of Jesus, the cross, the crucifixion, the pain, the suffering. But he says, who for the joy set before me endured the cross, despising its shame. Jesus' perspective is, though this is painful, something good would come out of this. In fact, I look at the people whom I'm dying for and they are my source of joy. That is looking at problems and obstacle in a different light and perspective. Benjamin Franklin said, the things which hurt instruct. What hurts me instructs me. That's the gift of pain. What I tolerate, I can never change. But what I can no longer tolerate, I will change. I will do whatever it takes. I will get mad at the situation or the crisis and say, I need to do something about this. Obstacle is the way. You don't want to change your lifestyle or your health, and then sickness hits you. The thing which hurts instruct. It tells me I've got to change. Now, one of the things I'm thankful for, And again, I want to balance this out. But one of the things I'm thankful for is how my our parents raised us up and did not spoil or did not make us entitled kids. They introduced us to the business early on. They made us work during summers. And I think because of those hardships and sacrifice, even when we were kids, it shaped us to become stronger. I would have loved to hear more positive affirmation from my parents, which I didn't get a lot. But the silver lining behind that, I'm not saying I practice that. I affirm my kids now. I've learned how to balance things out. But if we don't push our kids, if we don't push the people around us to embrace the obstacles, it will make them soft. Great times are great softeners. When everything is abundant, when everything is going really well, it, it can be its own obstacle, abundance, right? And so Ryan Holiday tells us to overcome obstacle, it's a discipline of three critical steps. And I want to discuss it now. Number one is how we look at our specific problems, our attitude and approach. That's the first critical step. What's your perception of the problem? Number two, the energy and creativity with which we actively break them down and turn them into opportunity. That is action. Now, with the energy that I have and the creativity that I have, how do I now take action on this obstacle? And thirdly, is the cultivation and maintenance of an inner will that allows us to handle defeat and difficulty. And that's the will. And this is where I kind of want to add on to what Ryan was saying, because I feel like it's incomplete when he talks about the human will, because I believe that I need the power of God and not just my own human will to accomplish solving the obstacle or the problem along the way. And I'll discuss that maybe in the further podcast episode. So embrace the obstacle because the obstacle is the way. I want to end with a quote that Chris Bosh said in his Hall of Fame speech during the recent NBA awards. He said that legends are not defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failure. And he said, and that's what I hope to communicate to anyone watching this, especially the kids. Embrace the obstacle because the obstacle is the way. I do hope that this encourages you, that whatever obstacle you're facing right now, you, okay, can do something about it with the power of God, with the right frame of mind, with the right perception of the problem and the obstacle. Find ways on how to be able to overcome those obstacles in your life. And I hope this podcast is the push that you need to hear right now so that you can be stronger and more courageous in facing those obstacles in your life. All right, so that's it for this episode. I hope it's an igniter, it's a fuel for you to do something about the problems that you're facing today. And if you like this podcast, or if you know anyone who needs to hear this podcast, please forward this, share this in Spotify, in YouTube, and make them listen to this and journey with me in the next few episodes as we discuss perception, the action, and the will for us to overcome the obstacle in our lives. By the way, guys, I have a promo also in Shopee, where you can buy my book, Why Settle for Good Sex When You Can Have Great Sex. It's only 500 pesos. And when you get that, you will get my latest book, Giants for Breakfast, for free. And this is this is in the genre of Ryan Holiday's Obstacle is the Way. Giants for Breakfast. How you can defeat the giants in your life. I do hope it will encourage you. So you can get that now. It's only 500 pesos and you get the 2 books already. And also, we would like to to also invite you to our podcast, our Parenthood podcast. It's also in Spotify under Podcast Network Asia. Just type our Parenthood podcast. Tammy and I talk will talk about marriage and parenting in those episodes. It's going to be very helpful for you as well. And I do hope you can listen to our different podcasts also. So God bless you guys.
Follow Dennis C on Instagram and Twitter at Dennis Cia C. That's at DennisSiasy.